Hi, I'm Klaudio Muca. I'm part of the research unit of Zebra architecture called WISE, Work Innovation Space Education. Zebra is based in Denmark and we have a branch office in Abu Dhabi. Let me start by saying that I'm extremely honored to be part of ANFA, a conference where architecture meets neuroscience. In this short video, I'm going to talk about Common Sense, a spin-off from our research unit and architectural practice. But first of all, I'm going to give you a little bit of an introduction about who we are and what we do. In our daily work as researchers and architects, we try to think about innovation more like a series of small evolutions than a giant revolution. Our architecture tries to develop those skills that make us thrive in a world in constant change. No matter if you are at school, at work, or at home with your kids and your partner. These are cognitive skills, of course, but also the interpersonal skills. How do we deal with others? How do we understand others' emotions? The idea of empathy and so on. And on the other hand, intrapersonal skills, meaning how much do we know ourselves? How much do we understand the way we behave in the presence of others? Do we really understand our feelings? Do we know our weak points? Do we know our strong points? We design spaces that bind people together. Learning environments that bring students into the social space of the teacher, that promote engagement. For example, a 500-seat round auditorium called the Campfire for the new instructional center of the University of Toronto. How can we have a classroom where 200 students work in groups, in optimal acoustics, and at the same time provide the possibility to attend traditional lectures? Well, we accommodated this apparent contradiction in one of the other rooms of this new building, called the Collaboratorium, a classroom that celebrates the idea of problem solving and collaboration, but at the same time it allows the possibility for traditional lectures. WISE is part of a complex and dynamic network composed by architecture, research and technology. And obviously it represents the research part. If architecture is basically our business, we use technology and research to constantly learn and improve our production. Zebra has 20 years of experience in the architecture business, dealing with a variety of projects all over the world. We are very involved into the development of learning spaces, from kindergartens to universities. In this image, you see one of our buildings, the VUC Adult Educational Center, where a series of overlapping balconies create different light and acoustic conditions, allowing each group of students to inhabit the spaces as they like and depending on what type of activity they want to perform, focused or collaborative work. We work a lot internationally and in all different scales. As I said, we have a branch office in Abu Dhabi and also we are very active in Canada. Here you can see the Al Musalla prayer hall, which is located inside our master plan for Qasr Al Hosn, the historical city center of Abu Dhabi. We also really like to design museums, like in this case an interactive science museum located in Copenhagen, which is called the Experimentarium, and it features a copper-clad staircase which symbolizes the structure of the DNA. It's kind of exciting to work in so many different countries, cultures and climates. Just imagine for a second that the new building for the University of Toronto is designed to cope with minus 40 degrees in winter, while the Qasr Al Hosn master plan deals with plus 40 degrees in summer. With our research unit WISE, we are very much interested in what is going to happen rather than what has already happened. We investigate how space impacts our senses in the domains of work and educational environments that lead to innovation. We're gathering all our findings in an ebook that is going to be released at the end of this year. We of course use interviews as a tool to connect to the foremost thinkers of today and tomorrow. We have interviewed workplace experts from the Lego Group, LinkedIn, Netflix and so on, but also educational experts, educational reformers like Kiran Bir Sethi, psychology professors and scholars like Peter Barrett, a very good friend of ANFA. Another very important part at WISE is the investigation and the exploration of the available literature out there. We constantly read articles and books on psychology, cognition, neuroscience and so on. We have already gathered quite a lot of findings about those architectural means and qualities that are able to produce a desired effect on us. For example, we know that high ceilings have a positive impact on our imagination and creativity, whereas lower ceilings enhance our capacity to be focused on a task. One of the books that has really stuck with us is this one by Dr. John Zeisel. It's called Inquiry by Design, Environment, Behavior, Neuroscience in Architecture, Interiors, Landscape and Planning. We are really fascinated by it and we recommend it to everybody. One of our core values is that architecture needs to be more than just a space responding to a building code or to building regulations. It needs to be more than just a standard environment for everybody. Instead, we believe in a diverse architecture that is able to produce an enjoyable experience for every person and personality inhabiting the space. An architecture that is adaptable to the whole spectrum of human intelligences and personalities. An adaptable architecture is one that can make us, on one hand, fully contemplative and focused, and on the other one, collaborative and engaging with others. Now finally, I can tell you about common sense. So with common sense, we wanted to move away from the idea that once a building is completed and architects are not involved with it anymore, everything is going to work fine and perfect and exactly in the same way we conceived it. Instead, we want to have real data about how architecture is consumed, how architecture is experienced, and how spaces are actually performing after we leave the building. For this reason, we started this tech project that uses technology and big data to find the answers to some of our questions. The project is developed in collaboration with New Nordic Engineering, and it's being supported by the Aarhus municipality together with Realdania, a philanthropic organization in Denmark. We have already implemented it in 4 schools here in Aarhus and are right now installing it in 2 office buildings. Now I'm going to focus on the case study of the 4 schools in Aarhus to make you understand our general thinking behind the project. In this example, we have 1,000 sensors tracking 3,500 students. But what is common sense if we really have to boil it down in a nutshell? So we could say that common sense looks at the users and the use of a space with the final goal of understanding its usability. Let me say that we really hope to show you some more concrete evidence and some more concrete results about our case study, but unfortunately, due to the coronavirus lockdown, we are a bit late on that. Anyways, we are looking at 2 types of data collection. So on one hand, we are live streaming data from peer sensors which tell us if rooms are being in use or not, and also indoor climate conditions like CO2, humidity, temperature, and also sound levels. In the future, as the project continues to develop, we would like to integrate light and weather conditions as well. On the other hand, we are asking every student and teacher to rate the rooms through an app with their mobile devices. And this is because right now we are still not able to evaluate the students' learning progress, well-being, and cost of a space. But once we'll have that data, we'll integrate that into the equation. In terms of architectural means and qualities, we collect and quantify the orientation, floor size, ceiling height, facade and floor ratio, materials, colors, furniture and layout, as well as the complexity of the space. Here you can see the actual app where the room rating is going to be made. The main idea behind the app is that actually teachers use it to book an available space in the school and carry a specific learning activity, being it a focused or a more collaborative work. In this way, in this sort of mutual effort between humans and technology, all the spaces and the classrooms of the school will get an extra information layer into them, which is how well they fit a certain type of learning, how well they fit a certain type of teaching, how well they perform in concentration and in collaboration work. Another potential way of using the app is nudging. For example, teachers could receive a notification when the indoor climate is bad, or if the students have been sitting for a long period of time. This is just an example of the data we are receiving from the schools right now. What it shows is some of the rooms' occupancy levels during the course of a week. This is another example of how we are going to use our data. This type of diagrams will be given to the school leaders and teachers in order to make them understand how the rooms of the whole school are being used during the course of a year. Are there any possibilities to use the spaces more efficiently? The whole story becomes even more interesting when we start to correlate the data we are receiving. As I previously said, right now, one of the main parameters we're going to use to correlate our information is the room rating, because it's too early to understand the learning progress of the students. But once we'll be able to get the learning progress of the students, we are going to correlate that with the preferred rooms and with the best rated rooms. It's going to be really interesting to see if the best rated rooms actually match with the learning progress of the students. In the following slides, we made a few examples of the ways we can use our data to correlate and find interesting information. One of them could be, what is the orientation of the preferred rooms? What is the ceiling height of the best rated rooms? Can our correlations back up some of the findings we have gathered by reading articles and books on the topics? Which materials and colors are the best rated ones? But also their quantity and location into the space, if they are in the floor, on the wall, or on the ceiling. So how is the indoor climate in the preferred rooms, for example? How are the light conditions? Finally, we could correlate the way students are grouped into the space and their rating of the spaces. Is there any correlation between sound patterns and grouping? Are we able to understand which type of learning activities are happening in the space by correlating sound patterns and the way students are grouped into the space? Does the furniture and layout actually match the way students are grouped and sitting into the space? Is there a lot of changes happening to the room all the time, or is the layout fixed? And finally, we are very excited to find out if there are any underlying patterns and correlations which we would have never thought about. And these machines can do better than us. I would like to conclude this presentation by saying that our ecosystem is an open network, and it actually really thrives thanks to the connection with other people, industries, and expertise. We are really new to this way of working with big data and technology, and for this reason, we really look forward to connecting with you. Feel free to contact us at the email you see on the top left of the screen. Thank you so much for this occasion, and stay safe.